Hello, welcome to another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. I'm Lady TrenettWilson, your lecturer and social historian. I want to thank all of my subbies, hi Royalers, and if this is your first time here, welcome. Today's lecture is, very near and dear to my heart because adoption and foster care has reached an epidemic for the Black community in our country. I want to give a quick shout out to Cynthia Thomas of Vessels with a Purpose in Dallas, Texas, who runs a foster care agency. Thank you for the work that you do in our community. And it's not good to talk about Royal Black and Elite without talking about the impact that we can make to help the children who are experiencing homelessness in our own communities. So I thank you all for joining me. I want to talk about the first colored orphanage in America. The first orphanage that was meant for Black children, that was built for Black children because they could not live, oftentimes because of discrimination and segregation in white orphanages. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the Howard Colored Orphan Asylum. That was the second orphanage for Black kids, but it was actually owned and run by Black people. So prior to orphanages, Black kids actually had to live in all kind of just squalid conditions. One of the reasons they were orphans was because of slavery. Black people moving from the South to the North. Sometimes they were hurt and unalived in that trip, so their children end up orphans. Sometimes they were recaptured, so their children end up orphans. War was going on, poverty was going on, so there was a lot of reasons Black children were ending up in orphanages. Today's stories is quite, different. So why are Black kids ending up in foster care now? Black parents are sometimes on drugs and they leave their children to be raised by grandma who's 82 and cannot possibly handle a 2-year old. And then the foster care system steps in, the state steps in. There's a lot of things going on in our Black community around our kids. And a lot of times we don't want to talk about it. But as an etiquette consultant and as a really a 30-year veteran of working in schools and community organizations to empower our youth, I see it over and over again. And that's why I wanted to bring this message today. So, the Colored Orphan Asylum was established in 1836. Anna Shotwell and Mary Murray were the ones who really kind of led the charge. They were Quakers, but 25 other people helped them open this place. Now, the children were bought there and they were indentured servants. So they were often rented out to families who paid a small fee and they would learn a skill while they lived with those families. And they could live with them up until the time they were 21. Whatever time they left the orphanages, the money that what that they paid, the family had paid, was supposed to be given to the children so that they can begin their life. Was it always done? I don't want to speak on it. I don't know. I would say orphanages closed for a reason. There was a lot of abuse taking place. And even today, when we see orphanages were built kind of like prisons. And so you see that in the juvenile justice system, allegedly. There's been a lot of stories coming out about children being abused and hurt in these systems, group homes as well. So we have a crisis. We need to talk about it. And I hope today's lecture and somehow stirs your interest in it. If you work in this field, leave it down below. What can we do to help as a community? So in 1918, the children began to get more educated because up until that time they were not educated. They were basically again shipped out to work and learn a skill. Now, in 1846, we did a lecture on Dr. James McCune Smith. In 1846, he became the doctor for the Colored Orphan Asylum. Click down below so you can read all about him and how his family passed for white. In 1863, men were being drafted, and there was something called the draft riot. This riot ended up burning to the ground the asylum for the children, and so they had to leave. These people were mad. These were white men, and black people weren't. Uh, they weren't drafted during that time because we weren't considered citizens. That's why all the legislation had to take place because we were indeed citizens and had grown this country to nothing. Now, the asylum was rebuilt in 1867. And in 1907, they moved to the Bronx. And in fact, a lot of Black people moved from Manhattan, um, out of Manhattan, because it was becoming a not so friendly place for Black people to live. Now, in 1941, here's a picture of Lewis and Bojangles. And this was in 1941 at the Colored Orphan Asylum. And they used to have little boxing matches for the kids to keep them busy. And this is what they did. Now, some people may not like this. Some people may think that this was a positive way for kids to use their time. Floyd Mayweather's little son boxes. So, what do you think down below? Should they have been letting these children box, or is this exploitation? I have my own thoughts. But anyway, in 1944, the asylum was renamed and it was called the Riverdale Children's Association. And this was because laws had been passed for no more segregation. So now Black kids and white kids could be housed at the same orphanage. And I don't even know how good that is that kids were orphans. It's just so sad. I really wanted to share this because this is something that we as a Black community need to understand, that our Black children are becoming homeless. More than 70% of them are being raised by single moms. And with job markets and layoffs and the market, the way it has been with recession, these children are ending up homeless with their moms. Some are being taken away. Some are being taken away because of drug abuse within the community. So we have a problem. And we don't like talking about this. We want to fuss about this or that, or what some star is wearing, a celebrity is doing. No, our children need us. And I hope today's lecture kind of sparked an interest in you. In 1866, another colored asylum opened up for orphan children. It was called the Howard Colored Orphan Asylum. I think they called it asylum because it was like a hospital, prison looking place. But this is another place that opened up, and it was the only Black owned and Black run organization like this. It was originally called the Home for Free Children and Others, and it opened in 1866. A minister named Minister Henry M. Wilson was the president. And then there was a white general, Oliver Howard, who also helped, and Sarah A. Tillman. They all helped open it. And it was originally a place where free women would, when they were newly freed, would come and live as they got on their feet. However, in 1868, Wilson had run the place in the ground and they were experiencing financial problems. So he had to be replaced. So in 1888, William Francis Johnson took over. And because he took over, they also moved to Brooklyn, New York, and they renamed it the Howard Colored Orphan Asylum for what it was originally called. Now, under his leadership, Black people really stepped up. They helped finance the place, speakers came. It was really a wonderful place to be. And with help from Booker T. Washington, he secured enough funds to annex a building where the children received an industrial education. And with the help of Pastor Rufus L. Perry, they secured enough money in 1899 to build a school adjacent, right there on the same lot. But just like his predecessor, in 1902, it was discovered that Johnson was mishandling the money. It led to an investigation, a grand jury, but no charges were ever brought. The leadership changed, and the Black men and women were kicked off the board, and then they brought in all white people to run the organization. Now, I've worked, a nonprofit for over 30 years, raising over $38 million. And when they kick a whole board out, that is not good. By the 1910s, the orphanage needed funds badly. 1908, they had bought additional schools, some additional land, so they needed some money. They had bought a farm, 572 acres to be exact, out in Long Island. They had about 250 children. But because of the finances they were having a lack of, it really hurt the institution, and they were unable to do repairs on the pipes. As a result, two little boys got their toes frozen and they had to get them cut off. And so, because of that, the Commission on Charities closed the doors in 1918. On that farm, they were teaching kids how to farm and how to do agriculture for boys. Well, when they closed down, a Russian company bought it called WP Anderson. The man was named WP Anderson, and now they raise the Russian boys to learn how to do agriculture. So that's what happens to us when we lose resources. When the school closed, the funds that were left were divvied out to the children who were eligible, and they went to college. So that's what happened to the second Black orphanage for children. I hope that you have learned a lot today. Did you even know that these two orphanages existed? Do you work in the field of foster care or have you been a foster child? I mean, I know there's a lot of improvement that needs to take place. And I just wanted to bring something a little different to you today, bring an issue that's happening in our community out in the forefront. I appreciate you listening. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I'll see you on another great episode of Royal, Black, and Elite. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below. And we're gearing up for our contest next week. We're going to have a big trivia game on live Thursday starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I hope to see you there. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.